I decided I want to work in baseball, hopefully involved in wins and losses, work in the front office. That sounds like an awesome job. How do I do it? I was going to Harvard at the time, realized there were a whole bunch of guys who went to Harvard who were working in baseball. Perfect, that sounds about right. Let's write a bunch of letters to all these Harvard guys. That's what everyone tells you to do. Network, get connections, use the connections you have, use your credentials. So I wrote a bunch of letters, probably dozens of letters at that point to anyone who had graduated from Harvard, worked in baseball. Did that my freshman year of college, so dozens of letters. I got one response. And the response was from a really nice guy who at the time was working for the Toronto Blue Jays. He has since left the industry, is now actually a writer. Super nice guy, gave me some nice career advice, had no real thoughts about internships or anything like that or how to get into the game. And so that was kind of my first indication that, wow, this might be a little bit tougher than I had previously indicated. So I kept writing more letters. This time I expanded it to literally everyone I could find a name for in baseball. Minor league baseball, major league baseball, didn't really matter. I figured the more letters I could put in front of people, the better. Email was around at this point, but it wasn't sort of the accepted mode of professional communication like it is today. So I actually wrote letters, went to the post office, and then every afternoon went to my mailbox in college and eagerly awaited some response. Most of them never came. It got to the point where when I got form letters back from some of these organizations, I was really excited because I knew they at least had like my letter on file somewhere and someone didn't just shred it or throw it away. One note on that, I sent, and I have copies of them, so I actually kept all these copies on a thumb drive so that I could prove to people. But I sent multiple letters to current staff members of mine with the Milwaukee Brewers and never got responses, including I applied for an internship with the Brewers. At the time, our internship program was being run by our current senior vice president of player personnel, who has turned out to be one of my most trusted advisors and is a really valuable employee. But at the time, he didn't deem me worthy of a response letter, and I generally make sure he never forgets it. But so I wrote over the course of my freshman and sophomore year, I wrote literally hundreds of letters, and that's not an exaggeration. Sent out hundreds of letters to all different people in baseball. And my freshman year, I got one internship offer. It was for a minor league team with the Brooklyn Cyclones. I grew up in New York City, worked out great, got to commute from home every day, got to be around baseball. My sophomore year, I went through that process again, and then again got one internship opportunity. This one was with the Pittsburgh Pirates at their player development complex in Bradenton, Florida, and that was a huge break for me to get an internship with the Pittsburgh Pirates, to be able to meet their front office. It was a very small front office at the time. They were a very traditional front office. Relied a lot on subjective evaluation. I was kind of a young guy with new ideas, and they were unnecessarily accepting of me. And it was a huge break after what had felt like, to me, a whole lot of failure leading up to that point, writing hundreds of letters and ultimately getting that one shot. So I was fortunate to break in the door, get my shot with Pittsburgh, and then really every job I've had since then, and I bounced around a lot. I've worked for the commissioner's office, I've worked for the Cleveland Indians, I've worked for the Houston Astros. Obviously, I'm working here now. Every job I've had since then has resulted from that original job with the Pirates. Someone with the Pirates knew someone else, who then knew someone else, who then knew someone else. And it just got, I was able to get recommendations for each job. But getting back to the theme of failure a little bit, one of my stops along the way was at Major League Baseball's commissioner's office in New York City. I was a relatively young employee there at the time. I think I started there when I was 20, I think I just turned 23. I was thrown into a department with a ton of really smart guys, with a bunch of lawyers who were doing really complex stuff, dealing with high leverage negotiations, big time presentations. Didn't really know what I was doing. And then maybe my second year in the department, I'm told I need to give a presentation to some director level employees around baseball. And the meeting was held in San Diego in the middle of winter, which sounded great. So fly out to San Diego and completely bomb the presentation. Like awful. I went out there, first of all, I made the mistake of not having the presentation vetted, which was on me, probably on my boss and on me. But I was charged with describing a new Commissioner's Office initiative, a technological initiative that was supposed to help the collection of medical records for the industry. And I am certain that everyone left that presentation much more confused about the new initiative than when they walked in. And it was terrible. I was 24, 25 years old. It was the first major presentation I had ever given. It was probably to a group roughly 2 times this size of relatively senior people within the industry. And it was awful. And I could tell that no one had any clue what I was trying to explain. And so I got back to Commissioner's Office in New York the following Monday. My boss called me in, and he said, "So I heard that didn't go great." And I said, "Yeah, I don't think that went very well." And he said, "Okay, we've got another one in 6 weeks. You're going to do that one too." And so that leads me to sort of this idea of mentorship. I can't tell you how many times that pattern has replicated itself in my career, where I've messed up and I've had a boss who, instead of airing me out, instead of taking away responsibility, has doubled down on me. I can't really explain why that has happened to me, but it's happened to me in this job as well. I've made mistakes in this job, and our ownership group has said, "Okay, try again. Keep following your process. Keep doing what you're doing." And that mentorship, that leadership, has proven enormously valuable to me. I can sort of think of no more important aspect of career development, of career progression, of career growth, than finding someone above you who takes an interest in you. And all you need really is one, and that's what I found. And I've been incredibly lucky that in each of my stops, there has been that one person who I've been able to latch onto, who I can go out to dinners with, who I can grab a beer with, who I can go on the road with, who is willing to tell me about their careers, who is willing to question my assumptions about what it is that I want to do, about where my strengths are, about where I need to grow. And certainly my boss with the Commissioner's Office is a prime example of this, in frankly not letting me dwell on what was a really down career moment, and giving me the leeway and confidence to go back out there and do it again and do it better. And like I said, that's repeated over and over throughout my career. So touched a little bit on failure, a little bit on mentorship. I'll touch a little bit on fortune and luck and good fortune and how that has shown itself, at least in my career path.